Hey, so we were chatting in the room and we were just talking about like unfair stuff and how Konami loves to oppress ABC players.
That's
Um,
not what we were talking
that's
about.
100% what we were talking about. So we decided that we'd come in here and kind of continue the conversation.
You decided.
I decided. So I'm gonna pick us off kind of where we were, which
I feel like instead of starting off where we were, we should kind of explain like the beginning of like what I brought up.
so you were talking about how like dark not dark magician
Dark Magician.
how dual monsters era stuff is really the only thing that gets supported
I think
anymore.
I think it started with me saying something about how they had brought back Engage, but they had hit
Carrier.
Carrier.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is what really got me going. Because
He got steamed.
if you guys don't know, ABCs are one of my favorite decks. I love ABCs so much. Um, and when Union Carrier came out in the states, it was really cool because that meant that A to Z could now be summoned on turn one. It's a little convoluted on how to do it, but you can do it. Anyways,
He has that bias going for him, his ABC love.
anyways, so but then they recently brought back Engage. So we were talking about how like, and she was talking how like
Dark Magician.
Dual Monsters era stuff is the only
Dark
thing.
Magician era.
Dual Monsters era stuff is the only stuff that gets supported. That like there's a bunch of pack filler and
Well,
that's
so essentially what it was is that I feel like whenever it comes to Konami, it's kind of strange because Konami of America is completely different from Konami of Japan. We all know this, and it's not just in the way the games are formatted and the ban lists are made every year. It's more on the sense of how they do business. Konami of America is super money. Uh, what am I trying to say? It's like they really want money.
greedy.
I don't know, pot of greed. They're very pot of greed, and that can be seen in the fact that they always seem to tippy toe around what
All this
is
stuff, yeah.
meta, and they're more likely to hit something rogue than they are to hit something meta. And if they tippy toe around the meta, most of the time they end up hitting casual strategies way more often than they do actually hitting the meta decks themselves.
Literally see any card ABC has ever
The
played.
problem I have with this though, because I understand they run a gambling company, they make games for gambling. Obviously, they want money. They're a business. That's what businesses do. And I respect that. What I don't necessarily respect or like is how they always seem to promote, oh, duel monsters, heart of the cards, be friends, casual duels with your friends are awesome and fun. But they never seem to actually support any of those casual duels. Like they'll be like, oh, Duel Links and speed
Pot of
duels.
Extravagance is a secret rare.
And they'll be like, Duel Links, speed duels, play it with your friends, have a casual fun time. And at the same time, they will hit casual decks. And then we got on Terraforming is like my biggest example of that.
Yeah.
With Mystic Mine, we now have Striker, Mystic Mine together again in a format.
Hayate Mine Pass.
Exactly, and Sky Striker was in the meta for 2.5 years, and it took them 3 ban lists before Sky Striker players were like, hey, this deck isn't as good as it used to be, and
And even then,
even then, it tore up locals for quite some time until people were like, I want to try something else.
people kept on Striker for way too long.
My thing is, I just really wish that Konami would, if they were gonna say, hey, we support old timey duel monsters duels, if they would genuinely support that, like, and I think we're all in agreement. So we're so tired of Yami Yugi and all
Kaiba.
all that. Like, people are big fans of Kaiba and Yami Yugi. Obviously, I wouldn't want them to get rid of that stuff, but incorporate 5Ds, incorporate GX and Verains. Like, there are so many people that are so passionate about that, and they won't give any prize support for those characters.
Where are my Yugo accessories?
And you mentioned the anime decks, though.
Oh, Legendary Duelist. So she mentioned that like you had mentioned you said that that those other animes they don't really get support for those characters decks, and I told you, oh well, they actually have been doing kind of a good thing with that with the Legendary Duelist sets, where they'll pick, like they'll go, okay, who's the rival from that series? Okay, all of them get support. Who's the secondary protagonist from that set? They all get support.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them a little bit, and now even now they're kind of running out of themes, because like they're like, who's the main female? They all get support. Who's the rival? They get support. Who's the cool guy? They get support. But now it's just like, who was kind of the villain? They get support. And but they also didn't include like a Vrain's bad guy in there, and they also didn't include a Zexal bad guy. And then there was there's a couple sets that are like that. Like even the new one, the new Legendary Duelist set, which has my sweet boys, the Speedroids in it.
Mm-hmm.
That has 2 Arc 5 guys and a 5Ds dude. So it is kind of weird that set is just like, well, who played Wind? Like that was the theme. It was like, who was Wind?
Yeah. I just think it's strange because like I feel like they promote so much about, hey, old timey Yu-Gi-Oh, let's go, and then at the same time they push this meta strategy a little too far, because realistically they short print stuff all the time, especially if it's a generic, could be used in almost any deck card.
Oh yeah, that's
They'll
what I had a
stick it
problem
at the
with.
highest rarity. Over the years, we've seen or at least me personally, I feel like there has been a drop in how many secrets and ultras and supers they realistically put into a tin. They took away rares, which I know rares aren't that great, but like, I don't know, they just made the packs feel more worth it somehow.
Yeah, like they more substantial, and that's something I've brought up with you as well.
I think it's strange that we're paying the same amount for these packs when they don't print rares anymore, which realistically saves them money. So
Yeah,
it's like,
they took out one of the rarities that was guaranteed in the pack, and it's like, all right, cool. So I just get a bunch of fucking oh, whoops, that's a bad word. They put in a bunch of commons and then take out the rare.
But like, I don't know. I just feel like they always promote this. Let's go back to the past, blast from everything. Let's play duels at the lunch table. And then at the same time, they make it so hard to get access to good cards, because it's not just about like rarity bumping your set. It's about actually being able to pull those cards. How is some like 6-year-old gonna pull 3 Pot of Providence? Pot of Prosperity. I don't know why I said
Pot of Providence.
Pot of
You have
Providence.
you have to live in Rhode Island.
No.
Yeah, you like that one?
Pot of Prosperity, my bad. But still, how are they supposed to pull 3 of that card?
Yeah.
It's so hard to get access to the good cards nowadays unless you're buying from second-hand markets, such as TCG Player or Tool and Trode. Tool and
Is
Toad.
Tool and Trode where a frog sells you tools? Troll and Toad?
Be quiet. It is so late at night. It's the next morning.
It's midnight.
Me.
It's midnight. It's midnight.
We didn't sleep until 3 a.m. yesterday.
We won't sleep until 3 a.m. today.
We watch way too much TV.
Anime. So I'm gonna take a new topic, because right now we're just kind of covering the stuff that we already talked about, and I don't feel like talking about Buster Blader because I don't care. I'm sorry, Buster Blader. I'm sorry, JP. But I want to talk about something that you brought up, which is that well, not that you brought up, but I was thinking about it while you were talking, because that's who I am, and that's instead of doing so you said blast from the past. That's what got me. Instead of doing like, oh, well, check it out, Yami Yugi comes back with a blast from the past. It's structured at it's started at Yugi Reloaded. That's like what the big reveal is.
I always love, because in their commercials they're like, a brand new strategy, and it's just links.
Gaia returns. Summon a powerful dragon with Rise of the Duelist. In stores now. Not all rarities guaranteed. Anyway. So, and I actually have a product example of this. I do have a product example for this.
Alrighty, hit me.
So you said, oh, well, I'm tired of this blast from the past stuff with Yami, Yugi, and Kaiba. There was one time that Konami did really well with a Yami Yugi, not a Yami Yugi, but a Yugi and Kaiba product.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really good, and people received it very well. Of course, I'm talking about the ABC and Electric Magnetic Warrior structure decks.
Oh my gosh.
They were called Structure Deck Seto Kaiba and Structure Deck Yugi Moto. They were so good. Well, Yugi's wasn't very good, but they were so good because guess what? It took two themes from their deck, like Magnetic Warriors and XYZ Unions, and it made them into actual like playable decks that worked really well. If they could do that for like, you know, the Hicroids, if they could do that for like other characters throughout the series, those would be things that I'd be okay seeing when they did these big like blast from the past sets. Like another example is whenever they did the Legendary Decks 2 and Yugi got a bunch of Exodia support in it. That was really cool because it was like a what if Yugi never lost Exodia.
Yeah.
That was a really cool. I mean, granted, it was terrible if you wanted to play Exodia. You had to buy 3 of those things. That's $100
Yeah, that's horrible.
for just Exodia cards. Granted, you got like a full Red Eyes and Blue Eyes deck, which was pretty cool. Because those Red Eyes and Blue Eyes cards were pretty expensive at the time. But anyways, that's another really cool thing that I would like to see them do more if they are going to continue this blast from the past thing. And you know, you could argue that, oh, well, that's what Legendary Duelist is for. You could argue that, and I do agree. I will agree. But it would be really nice if they just did like a Legendary Decks 5Ds and it's just Jack, Crow, and Yusei with some new stuff. That would be so good and so many people would buy that.
And you know what? Recently they did mention that they were going to bring in more Speedroid support and what was the one chick that we were like, who is this?
Oh, Cherie?
Yeah.
Because she's French.
Yeah, like
That makes her a loser.
What was her thing?
Losing because she's French. Oh, she was Fleur. She was Fleur.
Ah, but like I mean they did bring up stuff like that. I don't know. Like I said, I understand like them taking a money standpoint. They are a business. They have to make money somehow. Even though, let's be honest, it's not like they're losing out on anything, because they're pretty big as a company. But I wish that they would just step it up and be like, this is what the game is nowadays. And that's the thing, they're not moving forward. And they keep going, oh, we want to bring in new players, but they were literally bringing in, their latest attempt at marketing was to bring in players through somebody who did sports. That's no longer a thing that they're doing anymore.
No, yeah, since like yesterday.
But that would bring in adults. That wouldn't bring in children. So I really wish they would stop pushing the let's market to children and instead start marketing towards the adults that have the nostalgia for it. And a lot of people, they do love Duel Monsters a lot. But there's so many products out there for Duel Monsters already that I wish they would have a little more emphasis on their other really popular shows and support those characters and those shows, because I myself have never watched any of the animes except for Duel Monsters.
Yeah.
But I know that there are a lot of people out there that are super passionate about these characters, and they deserve proper prize support and just in general just stuff. Just like, hey, I would like my room to be full of Yusei stuff. Why not? But we don't have stuff like that in the TCG. It's only in the OCG that you can find things like that. I wish Konami of America would support the casual duelist if they're gonna continue to say have fun, play casually with friends.
So something that I want to compare to show that kind of what you're saying works. If any of my Transformers fans are out there, you'll know that Hasbro recently released, well, not recently, it's been out for a while now. They did Kingdom, the Kingdom toy line, which was based on Beast Wars, which was the 90s.
And it was a surprisingly huge hit.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
I didn't know how many people were a fan of Beast Wars, but...
So the deal is, Hasbro, how they did it was the first couple waves of stuff was all G1. So Siege...
And I loved it.
Yeah, Siege and Earthrise were... Siege was Cybertron, Earthrise was Earth, which was like classic G1, 1984.
Even though the show wasn't.
Yeah. Even though the show wasn't. But anyway, now they're doing Kingdom, which has some G1 stuff in it because Hasbro is Hasbro. But they're also doing Kingdom, which has the Beast Wars stuff in it because not only is it Beast Wars anniversary this year, but it's also now the people who watched Beast Wars, because it came out in like 95, The people who watch Beast Wars are now the demographic for those figures, for those collectible figures. And I'm saying the adults are the demographic because Hasbro does market to adults. These toys are expensive, and Hasbro knows their demographic. So, unlike, and they are willing to acknowledge their demographic too.
Because not only do they acknowledge the fact that these toys that transform are gonna be most likely collectors,
Yes.
and collectibles, but they also make products specifically for kids. They make cheaper transforming Transformers,
the
and then
Cyberverse
they also make Transformers that are literally just little dolls, little action figures,
Yeah.
for children.
Well,
So the thing is that with Hasbro bringing back the nostalgia for the people that are now old enough to purchase the collectors toys, it's awesome.
so let me kind of get to where I was going with this, because like you said, the Kingdom Beast Wars stuff, people have been loving it. Some people have said this is some of the best Generations figures that we've gotten ever. And you know what? Looking at some of the Generation stuff, I'm not a Beast Wars guy. There's some Beast Wars stuff coming out that I'm actually really interested in. There's a Shadow Panther that's coming out that I want to pick up, and there's some other stuff that I'm like, I'm not a Beast Wars dude, but I want it. It looks nice. And I've heard really good things. But anyways, that's the point, is that Hasbro recognized that the demographic that saw that show would be old enough to have steady jobs to be able to afford these figures, so they marketed towards those, and it did so well, they're finally making the Beast Wars movie. Like, that's how good it did, because they simply went, what's that other show we did? Let's market towards them now. They should be old enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying Konami should do. They should take GX or 5Ds and be like, let's market this for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And I completely agree, because I don't know, it's just that we've been saying, literally as a community for years, we've been saying this game is no longer something that is made for children.
Exactly.
No matter how much they want to believe it is a children's card game, it's not. And even though children can play older strategies, and once they learn how to play the game, they can even potentially play meta strategies and current strategies as well, the game is too complicated to even sit down an adult who's been playing something like Magic the Gathering and go, okay, play this meta deck.
Yep.
It is too complicated for that. And that is not a children's card game at that point.
If you have to have someone who's been playing the game for 5+ years sit down next to you to continue listening, to go, oh, you can't do that because of this specific wording, or you have to do this first because it has a colon, like it like stuff like, and there's so much that's not in the rule book too.
Well, like I was just about to bring up, the fact that their products no longer come with a rule book, even just the basics of the rules, it proves the point that this is no longer a children's card game. If they're going to continue marketing it as such, then they need to bring in support for casual duelists out there. And that includes hitting the cards that need to be hit rather than the cards that hit older strategies. And like earlier we had brought up Benton.
Oh,
Yeah, and I brought up the fact that they hit Benton, but then gave Drytrons a card that could just loop her. And even though Drytrons aren't like the strongest deck of the meta right now, it still hit the old Cyber Angel casual build just to give Drytrons the same strategy they were already playing. It's as if she's at 3 again. So like, why was that hit necessary?
The good thing is that when it comes to Diviner, which you said to me earlier was the card that you were talking about, the good thing is that Cyber Angels can 100% use Diviner. It doesn't exclude its 60+ price tag. Because, like she said, Cyber Angels are casual. But before you get too deep and we get a little farther, you said that about the no more rulebook. Do you know how many people would love it if Konami came out with like a D&D style like rulebook, just like an official one that you could buy for like $20?
Yeah, it wouldn't be $20 though.
Like, and it just had like some more intricate details and stuff, and it had some judge rulings and stuff in the back. Like that would be so nice.
I think it'd be really neat if they came, because we have it's called Neuron, right?
Yes, we have Neuron.
We have the Neuron app that has, you know, their cards and stuff on it, which is awesome. But
I'm gonna sneeze now.
You good?
Now I am.
Bless you.
Thank you.
That was kind of gross.
A little bit.
Anyways, with Neuron, it's a pretty cool app. I think it'd be even cooler if they brought out an app specifically for rulings, like that just had the rules in it. That'd be cool. But even then, no 6-year-old's gonna download a rule book on their phone.
That'd be actually really cool. Like if Neuron and like you hovered over a card and it would be like, this is the card, and you could tap it and it said like rulings or whatever. That'd be really cool. Or like common rulings or whatever. That'd be nice. What am I talking about? Oh yeah, more stuff. Okay.
Or we can just wrap it up. It's just you picked up your phone and then like zoned out.
I was
like,
checking something else. I thought you were still talking.
You were the last one to say anything.
Yeah, so I said the rule book thing. So you talked about not hitting stuff. That is something that I've noticed, and you mentioned earlier. I get that certain stuff needs to get printed, and I'm gonna kind of like steal what you said earlier when we were talking before the cast, before the cast and crew, which was that like if stuff hasn't been printed in like a year, like just hit it, go ahead, it's fine, even if it's gonna be in the tin. Like that's been my thing with like Nadir Servant. Like they didn't hit Nadir Servant, and like I get it, or Schism, and I understand it's because they're gonna print it in the tin, but like this just it drags a format on and on and on, and it makes the format feel, and like I know I sound like the complaining Yu-Gi-Oh player, it just makes the format feel stale.
Oh yeah, because the point that I had brought up, it was Mystic Mind, and I was like, they have no plans to reprint it as we know of in the future, and it's a card that has been around for multiple formats that people have been saying need to get hit for multiple formats, to the point where people honestly aren't even playing it that much, and everyone that used to play it that I asked why they stopped is because they honestly thought the card would have been hit by now.
Yeah.
Because they thought it was a toxic card. And I know that some people don't think it is, but if hardly anyone's playing it anymore, they don't plan on reprinting it, it's not going to make them money. Why keep it in the format any longer? Why not just bring back terraforming? And I understand that since they hit terraforming, they've printed a lot more decks that have field spells as a strategy.
Yeah.
And I know that would possibly bring in a big shift in the meta.
Yeah.
Or even in the rogue. But, I mean, it's a generic card that the casual duelist needs, because there are so many old decks that have field spells, and they rely on the field spell.
You know, it'd be great. So we were talking about pack filler earlier, and I don't want to dig too deep into, but you're wearing your Invoke 101 shirt. Well, actually, it's my shirt, but whatever. Buy my merch. You can laugh. I see you laughing. I want to talk about the pack filler situation. So me and Mio were talking, and I told her, I was like, well, whenever a set comes over from Japan, it has 80 cards in it. The TCG Konami throws 20 extra cards in there to make it a 100 card set. 12 of those cards are world premiere exclusives. The other 8 are Japan imports. Sometimes the 12 are for archetypes, but a lot of the time, and you know, sometimes they divvy it up. Like 6 cards are for archetypes, and the rest of them are stupid goof cards. Can we, instead of getting stupid goof cards, can we actually get some TCG exclusives that are like Demolition Tank, discard this card, add Union Hanger? You know, some of those dudes, the field spell fetchers, can we get some of those for the decks that don't have any, such as ABC and Phantasm Spiral, and what other deck has a field spell that got Demise? You could give Demise Ritual one of them. Mm-hmm. There's so many decks that could use that, and then, or you know, you could just, I don't know if giving Umi a generic searcher, I feel like they have one, but I feel like giving Umi a generic searcher might be a little too much, but just add one card that says it counts as Umi, that'd be nice. Mm-hmm. There's so many field spells that like could benefit from just getting one of those monsters, and then you would also buff the decks that need it.
And to wrap this up, because it's going into like a 25-minute video, and I know that that's not super long, but our rendering and uploading process will draw this out for hours. I would just want to say that, like, obviously with posting this, Konami's not going to want to work with either of us, which sucks. Because the thing is, we're not talking about this to trash on Konami of America.
No.
I'm simply trying to say that if they're going to continue to promote Yu-Gi-Oh! As a for kids game that anyone can play, a super casual and fun duel, and be super good at the game just by playing casual strategies, then I really wish they would support those strategies a little bit more.
Yeah.
If they're going to continue tippy-toeing around the meta and drawing decks out so that they can be in the meta for years and years and years and never get hit, and then keeping those cards that hinder casual strategies on the ban list, I wish that they would just step up and be like, alright, this game is for a more mature audience.
Yeah.
And I just wish they would take that step into being like, our demographic now is young teens and adults.
My final note to take away is that I'd really appreciate it if stuff could start coming out on time and not get pushed back like 6 months.
Yeah.
I really want my Speedroid support.
Alrighty, thank you for listening to our ramblings. I know it wasn't super factual, it was more opinionated, but yeah, thank you for listening.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out the links down below. You can find our merch, including the beautiful Speedroid merch, as well as our normal Invoked 101 merch, where you can get yourself stickers. We also have a link to our Discord and our Cash App if you feel like supporting the channel.
Oh, and don't forget to check out my channel at
Temple
of Alchemy.
That's right, plug yourself. She also has merch.
Yep.
Wait, no, not yet. Not yet. You don't have merch yet. She will have merch.
You ruined the surprise.
She might have merch. I don't know. I don't know when this video is going up. She might have merch.
Alright, bye.
Bye.